Hi everyone, this is Emma Deskins. I did my presentation on whaling and its effects in historical times, all the way back from prehistory up until 1940. My quality is not the best, so I apologize. So I hope you enjoy my presentation. People have been a part of whaling dating all the way back to prehistoric times. Early representation of whaling at the Neolithic Bangude site in Korea, brought to light by researchers from Kyungpook National University, may date back to 6000 BCE. The University of Alaska Fairbanks has described evidence of whaling of at least as early as circa 1000 BCE. Cetacea. There are around 89 dynamic species that are divided into two pairvorders, or a specific taxonomic category, above superfamily and below infraorder. The first pairvorder is the Odontoceti, the toothed whales, which includes 70 species consisting of the dolphin, killer whales, porpoises, belugas, narwhals, sperms, and beaked whales. The second is the Mysticeti, the baleen whales. These whales have a filter feeder system and includes 15 different species divided into 3 families. They include the blue whales, the right, the bow-headed rogel, and the gray whales. Dolphin drive hunting. There was an ancient form of catching cetaceans known as dolphin drive hunting. This was executed by men in several small boats that were positioned between the animals in the wide open sea. The whales were then herded towards shore in efforts to beach them. This method of capture, however, only worked for the smaller breeds and species, such as pilots, belugas, porpoises, and narwhals. Drogue. Another primitive practice was the use of a drogue. A drogue was a semi-floating object, such as a wooden drum or an inflated sealskin tied to an arrow or a harpoon. After that projectile had impaled the animal's body, the buoyancy and the wear and tear from the drogue would ultimately tire out the whale, allowing itself to be approached upon and killed. Rocket harpoon. In the 1850s, the Euro-American whalemen began great efforts towards catching rogels like the blue and the fin whales. That there led to Captain Thomas Welcome Roy's inventing a rocket harpoon similar to a drogue, which made a compelling improvement upon the advancement of the California whaling industry. Cultures. Practicing cultures that were affiliated with whaling and using drogues to do so included the Ainu, Inuit, Native Americans, and the Basque people of the Bay Biscay. The Bangude petroglyphs showed sperm whales, humpback whales, and North Pacific right whales surrounded by boats, and suggest that the drogues, harpoons, and lines were being used to kill small whales as early as 6000 BCE. During the same period, cetacean bones were found in the area, emulating the relevance of whales in the diet of prehistoric coastal people. Whale bones had also been discovered near the Strait of Gibraltar, which enhanced the opportunity that the animals were being hunted in the Mediterranean Sea by ancient Rome. In 1783, the American Revolution ended, and whaling steadily recovered, using Nantucket and New Bedford as bases. The industry started to prosper. Managers of whaling had little time to plan and think about risk that comes along with the reward that they sought after. It seemed as though they didn't care too much about either. All anything was ever about was money anymore. They took greater economic risk, expanded hunting grounds, investment and financing arrangements, etc. By the 1830s, the United States, more specifically New York and New England, including Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and other nearby cities, became preeminent whaling nations in the world. Whaling in Nantucket became a highly profitable industry by the 18th century, their voyages lasting for years at a time, sailings as far as the South Pacific waters. Quite a few New England towns, more specifically Nantucket and New Bedford, profoundly involved themselves into the new whaling industry. Nantucket began their journey into the lucrative business around 1690 after taking on a whaling instructor, Ichabod Paddock. The way that the island was set up was so that from the south side, which was divided upon up into 3.5-mile sections, you can see the spouts of the whales from each spot of those sectional divisions. So basically, there would be 24/7 view of the right whales that came into the vicinity, that would be chased down by rowboats, brought into the shore, if successfully killed, fleeced, which meant that their blubber was cut off, and then the blubber was boiled, melted down into sperm oil. Spermaceti. Over 10,000 seamen, including over 3,000 African American seamen, manned the ships, and during the earlier whaling attempts, right and humpback whales that were found near the American coast were focused upon. Unfortunately, the populations of those particular whales began declining, whereas the market for the whale products increased. In an effort to meet the people's demands, sperm whales began being hunted and harvested. The sperms produced spermaceti that was in high demand. Spermaceti was a dense, waxy substance that burns with an extremely bright flame that is found in the spermaceti organ, located forward and above the skull. The hunting voyages for the sperms also required more time at sea. This is what the spermaceti looks like. Whale oil. Train oil, as some may call it, depending on the age and health of these beings, can be different shades of brown. Whale oil was apparently the first oil to gain commercial success. It was used as anything from illuminant to a lubricant, sustenance, soap, stearin, candles, even all the way back to medieval Europe. Baleen. Baleen whales have long strips of keratin hanging from the roofs of their mouths instead of teeth. They use them to filter out krill and whatnot from the sea. Hooves, claws, human hair, and nails also have keratin in them, and at some point we were able to use the keratin found in baleen for things such as buggy whips, carriage springs, corset stays, fishing poles, hoops for women's skirts, umbrella ribs, and other applications for which plastic or steel would now be used. Ambergris. Ambergris is one of the greatest sought-after treasures of the ocean next to choice pearls and coral. It is a wax-like substance that occurs in the deceased state of the sperm whale, male or female, but usually more typically found in the male. People pay up to $40 per ounce for this concoction that contains the back or mandible, or the beak or the mandible of a squid or cuttlefish. People pay up to $40 per ounce for this concoction that contains the beak or mandible of squid or cuttlefish in it, which just basically enacts the principal food of the sperm whale. The whales that have been hunted and still get hunted today include the toothed whales that include the sperm, baleen, black bowhead, gray whale, beluga, narwhal, pilot whale, the orca or the killer whale, the rorquals, which include the mink, the fin, the blue whale, the humpback whale, the sei whale, and the bride's whale. What can we do today to help prevent commercial whaling and so what can we do today as individuals and as a society? Well, we can learn about the oceans, research, and just get to know and understand the depth of what the oceans are about, and just educate ourselves about what's going on today. We can reduce ship strikes, we can reduce entanglement in fishing gear, reduce the pollution, and reduce the plastic and what the sea life gets trapped in. We can limit low and mid-frequency sonar, end scientific whaling, and the justification that it's okay because it's science. We can stop burning fossil fuels. That's an obvious one. Support organizations that help whales. Again, more education. And change how we live just day to day. It starts with one person. It starts with just one person, throwing one can of soda in the recycling bin. It just starts with one person and one action. And it's so important for it to happen like that. So this is my works cited, and I hope everyone enjoyed my presentation. So thank you so much for listening, and good luck on everyone's midterm. So yeah, thank you.